Every day, the biggest battle you face is not with other people. It is with your own mind. It is the voice that tells you to delay one more day. It is the doubt that makes you stop before you begin. It is the habit that pulls you back when you are trying to grow. Most people do not fail because they are weak. They fail because they keep losing small battles inside themselves. This book is about changing that. Inside these chapters, you will learn how to think more clearly, act with more discipline, stay calm under pressure, and stop letting old habits control your life. You will see how small daily choices can rebuild your confidence, sharpen your focus, and help you become stronger in real life, not just in your thoughts. No empty talk, no complicated words, just practical steps you can use every day. If you have ever felt stuck, distracted, tired of repeating the same mistakes, or frustrated with your own progress, this is for you. The change you want does not begin with a perfect life. It begins with a better mind. And once your mind starts working for you, instead of against you, everything else starts to change too. Chapter 1. Master your thoughts before they control your entire life. Your life is shaped less by what happens around you and more by what happens inside you. A single thought can lift you, steady you, or pull you into a place that drains your strength. That is why this first battle matters so much. Before you try to control your schedule, your results, your mood, or your future, you must learn to watch your own mind. Not in a fearful way, not in a harsh way, in a disciplined way, in a calm and honest way. If you do not learn how to guide your thoughts, then your thoughts will guide your life, and they will not always guide it well. Every person knows what it feels like to be carried away by a thought. One small worry can grow into a heavy feeling. One insult can stay in your mind for hours. One mistake can turn into a story about who you are. One bad morning can make you act as if the whole day is ruined. Thoughts do not always arrive with truth. Many of them arrive with noise. Some are built from fear, some are built from old pain, some are built from habit, and some are built from tiredness. If you do not examine them, they can become the voice that decides your choices. The mind is powerful, but it is not wise by default. It can repeat what it has heard for years. It can protect you too much. It can exaggerate danger. It can call discomfort failure. It can call delay reality. It can make you believe that every feeling is a fact. That is one of the great mistakes people make in life. They believe every thought they think. They hear fear and call it wisdom. They hear doubt and call it honesty. They hear anger and call it strength. But a disciplined person learns a better habit. A disciplined person notices the thought and asks whether it deserves control. That is where growth begins. Not by trying to silence the mind completely. That is not realistic. The mind will always move. It will always produce ideas, memories, and reactions. The goal is not to stop every thought. The goal is to lead them. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You need to become a better observer of your inner world. You need to pause long enough to ask simple questions. Is this thought true? Is it useful? Does it help me act with wisdom? Does it move me toward the person I want to become? These questions create space. That space is where freedom begins. Many people live on autopilot. They wake up and immediately open their phone. They let other voices enter before their own mind is awake. They start comparing themselves before breakfast. They read other people's opinions before they even check their own direction. Then they wonder why they feel scattered. A scattered mind is not a strong mind. A weak mental routine makes the day harder than it needs to be. If every morning begins with distraction, then the rest of the day becomes a struggle to reclaim attention. The first victory is simple. Before the world speaks to you, speak to yourself with purpose. In the first quiet minutes of the day, you have a choice. You can feed your mind with noise, or you can feed it with direction. Sit still for a moment before rushing into the day. Breathe slowly. Feel your body. Notice the weight of your thoughts without obeying them. Ask yourself what kind of person you need to be today, not what mood you want, not what other people owe you. What kind of person do you need to be? That question is powerful because it shifts attention from reaction to responsibility. A life changes when a person starts acting from responsibility instead of impulse. One of the most useful habits you can build is this. When a difficult thought appears, do not argue with it for too long, and do not surrender to it either. Name it. A thought like "I cannot handle this" is not a command. It is only a thought. A thought like "I always fail" is not a fact. It is a habit of speech in your own mind. When you name the thought, you create distance from it. Then you can choose a wiser response. Instead of saying "I cannot handle this," say "This is hard and I can take the next step." Instead of saying "I always fail," say "I have failed before and I can improve now." The difference is not small. It changes your posture. It changes your energy. It changes what you do next. A person who masters thoughts does not wait to feel ready before acting. That is another trap of the mind. It tells you to wait until you feel more confident, more rested, more certain, more inspired. But life rarely waits for perfect feelings. The disciplined person learns to move while imperfect. The mind may say "Stay back." The wiser self says "Take the next step." The mind may protect your image. The wiser self says "Do the work." The mind may say "Avoid discomfort." The wiser self says "Face what is necessary." Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that fear will not be the final voice. There will be days when negative thinking seems stronger than reason. On those days, do not make the mistake of treating your emotions as identity. Feeling low does not mean you are weak. Feeling uncertain does not mean you are lost. Feeling frustrated does not mean you are failing. Human beings are not machines. Some days feel heavy. Some thoughts arrive with force. A stoic mind does not panic when it feels pressure. It stands still. It observes. It reminds itself that feelings move like weather, and weather is not permanent. The storm in your head is not your whole life. It is only a moment passing through. One of the most honest questions you can ask is this: what kind of thoughts do I repeat when no one is listening? That question reveals more than many public behaviors. Your private inner speech shapes your public life. If you constantly tell yourself that you are behind, then you will move like someone already defeated. If you keep telling yourself that other people are ahead, then you will live in comparison instead of progress. If you keep replaying old shame, then you will carry the weight of yesterday into every new opportunity. But if you learn to speak with patience and truth, your mind becomes a place of strength instead of conflict. Practical change begins with attention. Watch your thoughts during ordinary moments. Notice what happens when you receive criticism. Notice what happens when plans change. Notice what happens when someone ignores you. Notice what happens when you see success in someone else. Your reactions show you the habits of your mind. This is not about judging yourself. It is about learning yourself. Many people want control without awareness. That never works. You cannot manage what you refuse to see. Awareness is the first tool of self-mastery. Once you see a pattern, you can begin to change it. If your mind tends to jump to the worst conclusion, then practice waiting before deciding. If your mind tends to blame others, then practice asking what part you can control. If your mind tends to dwell on errors, then practice speaking about progress instead of perfection. If your mind tends to exaggerate problems, then write down the actual facts. Facts calm the mind. Assumptions feed fear. The more clearly you see reality, the less room fear has to spread. There is also power in what you consume. The mind is shaped by repeated input. Every conversation, every video, every song, every article, every complaint, every distraction leaves a trace. If your mind is filled with chaos, it will produce chaos. If it is filled with useful ideas, honest reflection and disciplined language, it will become stronger. Be careful with what enters your mind when you are tired, lonely, or emotional, because in those moments, the mind is more open and more vulnerable. Feed it with things that build your life, rather than things that slowly weaken it. Do not underestimate the effect of your environment. A messy space can add to a messy mind. A noisy space can make concentration harder. A negative circle can make self-doubt feel normal. You do not need a perfect environment, but you do need one that supports your better habits. Keep one place in your life calm and organized. Make one corner of your room a place of focus. Put your phone away when you need to think. Turn down the noise long enough to hear yourself. Sometimes the mind becomes clearer when the outside world becomes quieter. Another important practice is learning to delay reaction. Many problems become bigger because people respond too quickly. They answer messages while angry. They make promises while excited. They quit while disappointed. They speak while hurt. A wiser approach is to create a gap between feeling and action. When a strong emotion rises, pause before responding. Breathe. Walk. Count to 10 if needed. Ask whether the response you are about to give will help or harm your future. This small pause is one of the greatest signs of mental strength. It shows that emotion is present but not in command. You will never be free from all difficult thoughts. That is not the goal. The goal is to become someone who does not collapse under them. A strong mind does not pretend pain is not real. It simply refuses to let pain write the final script. It acknowledges disappointment without surrendering to hopelessness. It admits weakness without turning weakness into a permanent identity. It accepts that growth includes struggle. This is a very honest way to live. It removes drama and replaces it with discipline. Discipline in the mind often begins with the smallest choice. You choose not to complain about a task. You choose not to replay an insult. You choose not to spend the day thinking about what you lack. You choose to do one useful thing before you do the easy thing. These choices seem small, but they shape your character. Character is built from repeated decisions made in ordinary moments. No one becomes mentally strong by accident. Mental strength is earned by choosing truth over fantasy and action over avoidance again and again. There is a deep comfort in accepting that you do not need to control everything around you. Much of life is outside your control. Other people will behave in ways you do not like. Plans will change. Bodies get tired. The world moves without asking permission, but your mind still has a door. You can decide what enters. You can decide how long it stays. You can decide whether it leads you into wisdom or disorder. That is real power. Not control over every event, but control over your response. A person who wins the inner battle becomes less controlled by praise and less crushed by criticism. This matters more than many people realize. Praise can make the mind lazy. Criticism can make the mind defensive. A balanced person listens without becoming dependent. They appreciate good feedback without needing applause to continue. They accept correction without turning it into shame. They understand that their value is not built by every opinion around them. This kind of maturity is rare and precious. It makes a person steady in a world that is often unstable. When you begin to master your thoughts, you also begin to change your relationship with time. A worried mind wastes time. It revisits the same fear again and again. A disciplined mind uses time to move forward. It asks what can be done now. It looks for the next useful step. It does not need to solve the whole future before it begins. It understands that progress is built in the present. If you can train your mind to return to the present, you will waste less energy on what cannot be fixed today. One way to train this is by using simple, honest self-talk. Speak to yourself the way a wise mentor would speak, not with false comfort, not with cruelty, with strength and clarity. Tell yourself that the next hour matters. Tell yourself that the next choice matters. Tell yourself that action creates confidence more than waiting does. Tell yourself that discomfort is part of growth. Tell yourself that a difficult day does not erase your progress. This kind of speech does not make life easier. It makes you stronger inside life. You also need to face the stories you repeat about who you are. Some people carry labels from the past for years. They say, I am lazy, I am not smart, I am bad at this, I always mess up. These are not harmless words. They become mental walls. The moment you begin using identity language in a fixed way, you make change harder. Replace those phrases with honest process language. Say, I have been inconsistent, but I can improve. Say, I have made mistakes, but I can learn. Say, I am building discipline. Say, I am practicing patience. This is not fake positivity, this is truthful growth. Truthful growth never requires you to deny pain. It asks you to face it with dignity. Some days you will feel tired of trying. Some days the effort will feel invisible. Some days your mind will ask whether improvement is even worth it. On those days, remember that the mind often resists what is good for it. Just as the body resists exercise at first, the mind resists discipline at first. But resistance is not a sign to stop. It is often a sign that the work matters. Continue anyway. Continue calmly. Continue without needing applause. The more you practice this, the more your life changes in quiet ways. You become less frantic. You become less reactive. You stop giving so much power to temporary emotions. You begin to trust yourself because your actions and your values start to match. That trust is precious. A person who trusts their own mind can walk through uncertainty without falling apart. They may not know everything. They may not have every answer. But they know how to stay steady. They know how to return to what is true. They know how to keep moving. There is strength in saying no to thoughts that weaken you. There is strength in saying no to comparison. There is strength in saying no to the urge to make everything personal. There is strength in saying no to the habit of imagining failure before it happens. And there is strength in saying yes to patience, yes to effort, yes to learning, yes to honest work, yes to your future. The mind becomes clearer when it stops serving every passing impulse and starts serving long-term purpose. Think about the people who seem to carry real peace. They are not always the loudest or the most visible. Often they are the ones who have learned not to be ruled by every feeling. They do not chase every emotion. They do not announce every thought. They are selective with their attention. They understand that peace is not something found by accident. It is built by choices. It is built by what they refuse to entertain and what they choose to focus on. That kind of peace is available to anyone willing to train the mind. The battle inside you is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to shape you. Every time you refuse a destructive thought, you grow stronger. Every time you replace panic with patience, you grow stronger. Every time you choose one useful action over 10 useless thoughts, you grow stronger. This is how identity changes, not through one dramatic moment, but through repeated quiet victories. Over time, you become someone who can be trusted by yourself. That is one of the greatest forms of success. So, start here. Notice your thoughts today without fear. Do not worship them. Do not obey them blindly. Watch them, test them, correct them when needed. Return to what is true. Return to what is useful. Return to what will help you live with discipline and dignity. When your mind tries to rush you into doubt, slow it down. When your mind tries to trap you in regret, bring it back to the present. When your mind tries to tell you that change is impossible, remind it that change begins with one decision and one repeated practice. Trusting your thoughts is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming clear. It is not about removing feeling. It is about placing feeling under wisdom. It is not about pretending you never struggle. It is about refusing to let struggle define you. The mind can be trained. The inner voice can be shaped. The future can be changed, one thought, one choice, and one day at a time. Stay close to truth. Stay close to discipline. Stay close to the version of yourself that wants to grow. That is how you begin to win the battle within. Chapter 2. Challenge your excuses and build stronger daily discipline habits. Excuses are quiet at first. They do not always sound dramatic. They often arrive dressed as reason, comfort, timing, or self-protection. They tell you that today is not the right day. They tell you that you are too tired. They tell you that tomorrow will be better. They tell you that one missed effort does not matter. Then one day becomes a week, and a week becomes a habit of delay. The cost is not always obvious in the moment, but it becomes visible later in the form of regret, frustration, and a life that feels smaller than it should. If you want real change, you have to learn how to challenge your excuses with honesty, not anger, not shame. Honesty. Excuses grow when they are not examined. They weaken when you bring them into the light. A disciplined life is not built by waiting to feel motivated, It is built by doing what matters even when your mind offers reasons not to. This is where strength begins, not in perfect conditions, not in ideal moods. In ordinary days, when you decide that your future deserves your effort, every excuse has a familiar shape. It says the task is too hard, too late, too boring, too uncertain, or too much for today. But a wise person knows that the real issue is often not the task itself. The real issue is the discomfort that comes with starting. Excuses protect comfort. Discipline protects destiny. That is why the battle feels personal. You are not only trying to complete a task, you are training yourself to stop obeying every weak impulse that asks you to wait. A strong daily habit begins with a simple decision made early. Decide what matters before the day begins to pull you in 10 directions. When the morning starts without direction, excuses find more room. When the morning starts with intention, your mind has less space to wander. Keep your first promise to yourself small enough to keep but serious enough to matter. Make the bed. Drink water. Open the book. Write the first line. Begin the exercise. Clean one corner. Send the message. The point is not the size of the action. The point is that you act before excuses get comfortable. People often think discipline means harshness, but that is not true. Discipline is not punishment. It is care with structure. It is a way of saying, your life deserves better than random effort. It is the practice of doing what supports your long-term well-being, even when the short-term feeling does not cooperate. A disciplined person is not someone who never struggles. It is someone who does not let struggle become an excuse for surrender. One practical way to challenge excuses is to question them directly. When your mind says, "I do not have time," ask where the time is going. When it says, "I do not feel ready," ask whether readiness ever arrives without practice. When it says, "I have already failed too many times," ask whether one more honest attempt can move you forward. When it says, "I will start later," ask what later really means. These questions are simple, but they break the spell. Excuses lose power when they are asked to explain themselves. Another powerful habit is to lower the emotional drama around effort. Many people give up because they expect every productive action to feel exciting. That is not how growth works. Some of the most important tasks in life feel plain. They feel repetitive. They feel quiet. They do not always give instant satisfaction. Still, they matter. Washing the dishes, studying the lesson, returning the call, writing the plan, practicing the skill, going to sleep on time. These actions may not stir emotion, but they build character. A meaningful life is built through consistency, not excitement alone. You must also pay attention to the hidden excuse of perfection. Perfection says that if you cannot do something perfectly, then doing it at all is not worth it. That thought wastes years. It keeps people preparing instead of improving. It keeps people planning instead of practicing. It keeps people waiting for a perfect version of themselves that never arrives. A better standard is progress with honesty. Do the work in a real way. Improve the quality over time. Let the process shape you. Small repetitions will take you further than grand promises that never turn into action. Daily discipline becomes easier when you attach it to identity. Do not only say, "I need to exercise." Say, "I am the kind of person who moves my body." Do not only say, "I should study." Say, "I am the kind of person who learns with focus." Do not only say, "I need to be organized." Say, "I am becoming a person who respects order." Identity shapes behavior. When a habit feels connected to who you are, it becomes more stable. You stop treating good choices as temporary projects and start treating them as part of your character. There will be days when you feel weak, distracted, or emotionally tired. On those days, do not make the mistake of expecting a perfect performance. Aim for faithful action. Faithful action means you do the next right thing without needing a big surge of energy. It means you keep your standards while adjusting your pace. It means you understand that consistency matters more than intensity. One steady step is better than a burst of effort followed by a long collapse. The habit of showing up is more powerful than the habit of starting over. One of the strongest ways to build discipline is to reduce decision fatigue. Make fewer choices that drain your willpower. Prepare your clothes the night before. Put your tools in the same place. Set a fixed time for important work. Remove temptations that pull your attention away. A cluttered day creates a cluttered mind. A simple routine creates room for follow-through. Discipline often looks less like force and more like design. When your environment supports good choices, your life becomes easier to direct. You also need to become honest about the price of your excuses. Every excuse costs something. It costs confidence. It costs momentum. It costs trust in yourself. The more often you break promises to yourself, the harder it becomes to believe your own words. That is why discipline is deeply personal. It is not only about achievement, it is about self-respect. When you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you rebuild trust from the inside out. That trust becomes a quiet strength. You begin to know that your word means something. Sometimes the excuse is fear disguised as caution. You say you need more information, more time, more practice, or a better moment. Sometimes that may be true, but often the deeper truth is that you are avoiding the possibility of looking imperfect. That fear is human, but it should not govern your life. Growth requires exposure. You learn by doing. You gain confidence by facing real tasks. You build resilience by staying present when things feel uncomfortable. A life of discipline is a life that chooses honest effort over safe delay. To strengthen your habits, connect them to a clear purpose. A routine without purpose becomes mechanical. A routine with purpose becomes meaningful. Remind yourself why the habit matters. Why does your health matter? Why does your work matter? Why does your learning matter? Why does your character matter? When purpose is clear, excuses weaken. You are less likely to trade long-term value for short-term comfort. Meaning gives discipline its backbone. You do not need to transform your whole life in one day. That desire can become another excuse when it feels too big. Start with one habit that supports the person you want to become. Protect it, repeat it, respect it. If you miss one day, return without drama. If you struggle, continue without self-pity. The goal is not to perform discipline for a moment. The goal is to live it until it becomes natural. Repetition shapes identity more than intention ever will. There is great dignity in a person who follows through. Such a person does not always speak loudly, but their life speaks clearly. Their calm comes from practice. Their progress comes from effort. Their confidence comes from proof. They know what they will do when the alarm rings, when the mood drops, when temptation appears, and when the work feels heavy. That is what daily discipline gives you. It gives you a steady center. It gives you a life that is harder to shake. So when excuses appear, do not panic. Look at them with a clear mind. Ask what they are protecting. Ask what they are costing. Then do the useful thing anyway. Begin before you feel perfect. Continue before you feel fully ready. Keep the promise before the mind negotiates it away. Every day gives you another chance to prove that your future is more important than your excuses. And every time you choose discipline over delay, you become a little stronger, a little clearer, and a little harder to defeat. Chapter 3. Train your mind to stay calm under pressure. Pressure reveals the condition of the mind. It shows how a person reacts when comfort disappears, when plans change suddenly, when emotions rise, and when life becomes difficult without warning. Anyone can appear calm when everything is easy. The real test comes when the situation feels heavy, when expectations increase, when time feels short, or when fear starts speaking loudly inside the mind. In those moments, many people lose clarity. They rush decisions. They speak carelessly. They panic over possibilities instead of focusing on reality. But a calm mind sees differently. A calm mind does not deny pressure. It learns how to stand steady inside it. Life will never remove pressure completely. There will always be moments that challenge your patience, courage, and emotional control. A difficult conversation may arrive unexpectedly. A mistake may place you under criticism. Financial problems may create tension. Relationships may become strained. Your body may feel exhausted while responsibilities continue to grow. You cannot stop every storm from entering your life, but you can train yourself to stop collapsing whenever pressure appears. That training changes everything. The first step toward calmness is understanding that panic does not solve problems. Panic only steals energy that could have been used wisely. When the mind enters panic, it becomes narrow. It exaggerates danger. It imagines outcomes that have not happened. It rushes toward conclusions before facts are clear. A person under pressure often suffers more from imagination than from reality itself. That is why calmness is not weakness. Calmness is mental control. It allows you to think clearly while emotions are trying to take over. One of the most important habits during stressful moments is slowing down your response. Pressure creates urgency inside the body. Your breathing changes. Your thoughts race. Your muscles tighten. Your voice may become sharp or defensive. If you react immediately in that state, your decisions are often driven by emotion instead of wisdom. Train yourself to pause before speaking or acting. Even a short pause creates space between the situation and your reaction. In that space, you regain control. Breathing plays a powerful role in this process. Most people ignore their breathing until anxiety becomes overwhelming. But your breath affects the state of your mind more than you realize. Fast, shallow breathing tells the body that danger is everywhere. Slow, steady breathing sends a different message. It tells the body that you are safe enough to think clearly. During difficult moments, focus on slowing your breathing deliberately. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Feel your body settle. This simple practice can stop emotional escalation before it controls your behavior. Another important truth is that pressure often exposes untrained thinking patterns. Some people immediately assume failure when problems appear. Others assume rejection, embarrassment, or disaster before anything has fully unfolded. These habits do not develop overnight. They are repeated mental reactions built over time. If you want a calmer mind, you must examine the way you interpret situations. Ask yourself whether you are reacting to facts or to fear. Many stressful moments become worse because people create painful stories inside their minds before reality has even spoken fully. A disciplined person learns to separate events from interpretation. Losing an opportunity does not automatically mean your future is ruined. Criticism does not automatically mean you are worthless. A delay does not automatically mean defeat. One difficult moment does not define your identity. Calmness grows when you stop turning temporary challenges into permanent conclusions. Problems deserve attention, but they do not deserve exaggerated meaning. There is also wisdom in accepting that discomfort is part of life. Many people become emotionally unstable because they expect life to feel comfortable most of the time. Then when stress appears, they treat it as something unnatural. But pressure is part of being human. Every person faces uncertainty, disappointment, and difficult seasons. Accepting this reality creates emotional balance. You stop asking why pressure exists and start learning how to handle it with maturity. Training your mind under pressure also requires emotional discipline during ordinary moments. If you constantly fill your days with noise, distraction, and overstimulation, your mind becomes fragile. A fragile mind struggles under stress because it has never practiced stillness. Spend time each day away from constant stimulation. Sit quietly without needing entertainment every second. Walk without checking your phone repeatedly. Eat one meal slowly and with attention. Give your mind moments of silence. Calmness grows through familiarity with stillness. Your physical condition also affects your mental stability. Exhaustion weakens emotional control. Poor sleep increases irritability. Constant stress without rest makes the mind reactive. Many people try to solve emotional problems while neglecting basic physical care. A stronger mind requires stronger daily maintenance. Sleep enough. Drink water regularly. Move your body. Reduce habits that constantly drain your energy. A tired mind becomes impatient more easily. A cared-for mind handles difficulty with more steadiness. Another powerful practice is learning how to focus only on what you can control. Pressure becomes overwhelming when your attention spreads toward everything at once. You start worrying about opinions, outcomes, future problems, and situations outside your influence. This creates helplessness. Instead, bring your attention back to the next useful action. Ask yourself what can actually be done right now. Sometimes the answer is simple. Make the call, finish the task, tell the truth, apologize honestly, rest for an hour, prepare carefully, stay present. Action reduces helplessness because it returns your attention to reality. Many people lose emotional control because they fear judgment. They become anxious about how they appear during difficult situations. They fear looking weak, making mistakes, or disappointing others. But pressure becomes lighter when you stop treating imperfection like a disaster. Human beings make errors. Human beings struggle. Human beings feel uncertain sometimes. Calmness comes from accepting your humanity while still choosing responsibility. You do not need to perform perfection under pressure. You need to remain steady enough to think and act wisely. Your environment also shapes your emotional reactions. If you spend time around people who constantly panic, complain, or react emotionally to every problem, their habits slowly affect your own thinking. Emotional states spread quickly between people. Protect your mental state carefully. Spend more time with those who handle life with patience, honesty, and maturity. Calm people create calm environments. They do not ignore problems, but they face them without chaos. There will be moments when life feels unfair. You may work hard and still face disappointment. You may give your best and still receive criticism. You may remain loyal while others betray trust. In those moments, the mind will tempt you toward bitterness or emotional collapse. But inner strength grows when you refuse to be emotionally reckless because life became difficult. A calm person does not lose character every time circumstances become painful. They remain grounded in values even during hardship. One helpful mental shift is learning not to treat every feeling as urgent. Some emotions feel intense, but pass quickly when you stop feeding them. Anger often becomes stronger when repeated mentally. Fear often grows when constantly imagined. Frustration often expands when discussed endlessly. Instead of feeding emotional storms, observe them quietly. Feel them without surrendering your entire identity to them. Emotions are experiences. They are not commands. Training your mind under pressure also means becoming more comfortable with uncertainty. Much of human stress comes from wanting guarantees. People want certainty before making decisions. They want complete safety before taking action. But life rarely provides complete certainty. Waiting for perfect clarity often creates paralysis. Calmness comes from trusting your ability to handle challenges, even when outcomes remain unknown. Confidence is not knowing everything will go perfectly. Confidence is believing you can stay steady and adapt when difficulties appear. A strong mind also avoids unnecessary drama. Some people increase pressure by speaking emotionally about every inconvenience. They turn small frustrations into major crises. They constantly repeat problems instead of solving them. This habit exhausts the mind. Discipline your language carefully. Speak clearly about problems without adding exaggeration. Calm words help create calm thinking. The way you speak influences the way you experience life. Another important lesson is that pressure can strengthen you if handled properly. Difficult moments often reveal hidden strengths. They teach patience, resilience, emotional control, and problem solving. Many people discover their deepest growth during painful seasons. Comfort rarely forces self-examination. Pressure does. It exposes weaknesses that need correction and strengths that need trust. Instead of asking why life feels difficult, ask what the difficulty is teaching you. One of the greatest forms of strength is staying respectful during stress. Anyone can behave well when emotions are easy, but calm character appears when tension rises. The way you treat people during pressure reveals your true discipline. Do not allow stress to become permission for cruelty. Do not allow frustration to turn into disrespect. Protect your standards, especially when emotions feel intense. A calmer mind also learns the value of recovery. Rest is not laziness when used wisely. Constant pressure without recovery damages judgment and emotional balance. Give yourself proper moments to recover mentally. Spend time in nature. Sit quietly in the evening without constant stimulation. Reflect honestly on your thoughts. Read something meaningful. Recovery allows the mind to regain clarity instead of remaining trapped in constant tension. There is also great wisdom in accepting that not every battle deserves your emotional energy. Some arguments waste peace. Some opinions do not deserve your reaction. Some situations improve faster when you stop feeding them attention. Calmness includes the ability to walk away from unnecessary conflict. Protect your mind from becoming emotionally exhausted by every small disturbance around you. As you continue training yourself, you will notice subtle changes. Situations that once overwhelmed you will become easier to handle. Your reactions will slow down. Your thinking will become clearer during stress. You will stop needing immediate emotional release every time life becomes difficult. This is real growth. It is quiet but powerful. You begin to carry yourself differently because your inner world becomes more stable. A calm mind is not created in one dramatic moment. It is built through repeated practice. Every difficult conversation becomes training. Every stressful situation becomes training. Every delay, disappointment, and challenge becomes another opportunity to strengthen emotional control. Over time, calmness stops being something you force. It becomes part of your character. Pressure will continue to visit your life. That cannot be avoided. But panic does not need to rule your decisions. Fear does not need to control your voice. Stress does not need to steal your wisdom. You can train yourself to remain clear when situations become difficult. You can become the kind of person who thinks carefully while others react emotionally. You can become steady when others lose control. That strength begins inside the mind long before the world notices it outside. Chapter 4. Replace negative thinking with focused actions every single day. Negative thinking drains energy long before any real problem arrives. It weakens motivation, slows movement, and fills ordinary moments with unnecessary heaviness. Many people lose valuable years, not because they lacked ability, but because they spent too much time trapped inside patterns of doubt, worry, resentment, and self-defeating thoughts. The mind becomes crowded with imagined failures, old regrets, and constant comparison. Then action disappears. Progress stops. Confidence fades. A person begins to feel stuck even while opportunities still exist around them. The danger of negative thinking is not only emotional pain. The greater danger is inactivity. A negative mind often delays action. It waits for certainty. It waits for confidence. It waits for perfect conditions. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward. Days pass quietly. Potential slowly weakens from lack of use. That is why focused action matters so deeply. Action interrupts destructive mental patterns. Action returns attention to reality. Action creates movement where fear once created paralysis. The human mind naturally notices problems. It pays attention to danger, criticism, mistakes, and discomfort. This instinct once helped people survive difficult environments. But in modern life, an uncontrolled mind can become overly focused on what is wrong. A small failure begins to feel permanent. One rejection starts shaping identity. A difficult season convinces someone that nothing will improve. Negative thinking often speaks in absolute language. It says everything is ruined. It says nothing works. It says there is no point trying. These thoughts feel convincing when repeated often enough, but repetition does not turn fear into truth. One of the strongest ways to break this pattern is to stop arguing endlessly with your thoughts and start directing your energy into useful behavior. You do not need to solve your entire emotional life before taking a step forward. You do not need perfect inner peace before becoming productive. Many people wait until they feel better before acting, but often the opposite is true. Meaningful action helps create a better emotional state. When your mind becomes negative, Bring your attention back to something practical. Clean the room. Finish the task. Prepare the meal. Go for the walk. Write the page. Organize your schedule. Study the lesson. Repair the mistake. Action grounds the mind because it reconnects you with reality instead of imagination. A focused person has less room for unnecessary mental chaos. This does not mean ignoring emotions or pretending pain does not exist. Some struggles are real and deeply personal. Some days feel heavy for reasons that cannot be solved immediately. But even during difficult seasons, there is still value in choosing one useful action. A small action reminds you that your life is still moving. It reminds you that you are not completely powerless. Momentum matters more than mood. Negative thinking also grows stronger when the mind lacks direction. A wandering mind often returns to fear, regret, jealousy, or frustration. That is why goals are important. Goals give the mind something constructive to move toward. Without direction, people become vulnerable to distraction and emotional instability. A clear purpose creates mental structure. You wake up knowing what deserves your attention instead of spending the entire day reacting to random thoughts and outside noise. Start each morning with one clear focus. Do not overload yourself with impossible expectations. Choose a meaningful target that deserves your effort today. When the mind begins drifting into negativity, return your attention to that target. Discipline your focus repeatedly. This simple habit strengthens mental control over time. Many people unintentionally train themselves to think negatively through constant exposure to harmful input. They spend hours consuming content that creates anger, comparison, insecurity, or hopelessness. They listen to people who complain constantly. They fill quiet moments with endless noise. Then they wonder why their thoughts feel heavy. Your mind absorbs what you repeatedly feed it. If your mental environment is filled with negativity, your thinking will slowly reflect it. Protect your attention carefully. Pay close attention to what enters your mind each day. Some information helps growth. Some information only creates emotional exhaustion. You do not need to absorb every opinion, every argument, or every crisis happening around the world. A wise person learns how to stay informed without becoming mentally consumed. Peace requires boundaries. Focused action also requires emotional responsibility. Stop waiting for someone else to rescue your mindset. No friend, relationship, or outside success can permanently solve inner disorder if you refuse to guide your own thinking. Personal growth begins when you accept responsibility for your mental habits. This is not about blame. It is about ownership. Ownership creates power because it reminds you that change is possible through consistent choices. Another important truth is that negative thinking often becomes addictive because it feels strangely familiar. Some people become so used to disappointment that optimism feels uncomfortable. They expect failure before trying. They prepare emotionally for rejection before speaking. They doubt themselves before beginning. This pattern creates emotional protection, but it also creates limitation. You cannot build a meaningful life while expecting defeat from every opportunity. Breaking this cycle requires patience. Your mind will not transform instantly. Years of habitual thinking cannot disappear overnight. But every time you redirect your attention toward action, you weaken the old pattern slightly. Every useful decision becomes evidence that you are capable of moving forward despite difficult thoughts. Your body language also affects your mental state more than you realize. Negative thinking often changes posture, energy, movement, and facial expression. A discouraged person walks differently, speaks differently, and carries tension physically. Begin paying attention to how you carry yourself during difficult moments. Stand upright. Slow your breathing. Speak clearly. Move with intention. These physical adjustments may seem small, but they influence emotional stability. There is also strength in finishing tasks completely. An unfinished life creates mental pressure. Delayed conversations, ignored responsibilities, and abandoned goals slowly build emotional weight. Each incomplete task occupies mental space. Focused action clears that space. Completing one responsibility creates relief and clarity. It restores confidence because you begin trusting your ability to follow through. Comparison is another major source of negative thinking. Many people spend too much time measuring their progress against other people's lives. They compare income, appearance, success, relationships, and achievements. This habit creates dissatisfaction even during moments of real progress. Someone else will always appear ahead in some area of life. If comparison becomes your daily focus, gratitude disappears. Return your attention to your own path. Your responsibility is not to live another person's journey. Your responsibility is to improve your own character, habits, and decisions. Focus on becoming better than you were yesterday. Quiet personal progress creates more peace than constant competition ever will. You must also become careful with the language you use about yourself. Words shape mental direction. If you constantly describe yourself as weak, unlucky, broken, or incapable, your behavior slowly begins matching those descriptions. Speak truthfully but constructively. Admit your struggles without turning them into permanent identities. Replace harsh self-condemnation with honest self-correction. Growth becomes easier when your inner voice supports responsibility instead of destruction. Focused action is especially important during emotional pain. When disappointment enters your life, the mind often wants to withdraw completely. It wants isolation, avoidance, and endless overthinking. Rest has value, but complete withdrawal can deepen suffering. Continue doing small, meaningful actions even during hard seasons. Keep basic structure in your life. Wake up with purpose. Care for your body. Maintain important responsibilities. Pain becomes more dangerous when life loses all structure. Many people believe motivation creates action, but often action creates motivation. Waiting endlessly for inspiration keeps people trapped. Begin before you feel fully ready. Begin while uncertain. Begin while imperfect. Movement creates energy. Effort creates momentum. Small victories create confidence. The mind becomes stronger when it sees evidence of progress instead of endless thinking. There is wisdom in simplifying your focus. Negative thinking often increases when life feels mentally crowded. Too many goals, too many distractions, too many worries, and too many unfinished decisions create overwhelm. Reduce unnecessary complexity where possible. Focus deeply on fewer important things instead of scattering your attention everywhere. Clarity creates emotional stability. You will still have difficult thoughts sometimes. Every human being does. The goal is not to eliminate every negative emotion forever. The goal is to stop allowing negative thinking to direct your behavior consistently. A strong person is not someone who never struggles mentally. A strong person continues acting with purpose, even while difficult emotions exist. As your habits improve, your relationship with yourself changes slowly. You stop feeling completely controlled by temporary moods. You begin trusting your ability to handle discomfort productively. Your mind becomes less dramatic because your actions become more intentional. You stop wasting entire days trapped inside repetitive fear. Instead, you develop the ability to redirect your attention toward useful effort again and again. Focused action also builds self-respect. Each time you complete something meaningful, you strengthen trust in yourself. You prove that your life is not entirely controlled by emotion. This inner trust becomes powerful during difficult moments. It reminds you that progress remains possible even when circumstances feel uncertain. There is no perfect day waiting in the future where all negative thoughts disappear completely. Life will continue bringing challenges, disappointments, and moments of doubt. But your response can change. You can become someone who notices negative thinking without becoming trapped inside it. You can become someone who redirects energy toward useful action instead of endless mental struggle. Every day gives you another opportunity to practice this skill. When negativity appears, pause and notice it clearly. Do not feed it with more fear. Do not build dramatic stories around it. Return your attention to something real and productive. Take one meaningful action, then another, then another. Over time, these repeated choices reshape the direction of your life. Your future is not built only by what you think. It is built by what you repeatedly do. Focused action turns intention into reality. It turns possibility into progress. It transforms ordinary days into a stronger character. The mind becomes healthier when it learns that movement matters more than mental noise. And once you truly understand this, you stop waiting for a different life and start building one through disciplined daily action. Chapter 5. Strengthen your confidence through small, consistent personal victories. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many people think confidence is loud behavior, constant certainty, or the ability to impress others easily. But real confidence is much quieter than that. Real confidence is built internally through evidence. It grows when you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can handle responsibilities, keep promises, and continue moving forward, even when life becomes difficult. It is not built in a single dramatic moment. It is built slowly through small personal victories that most people overlook. A person with strong confidence does not necessarily believe they will succeed at everything. They simply trust their ability to face challenges honestly. They trust themselves to continue learning, adjusting, and growing. This kind of trust cannot be borrowed from motivational words alone. It must be earned through consistent action. Every time you complete something difficult, no matter how small, you place another brick into the foundation of self-respect. Many people struggle with confidence because they only notice their failures. They ignore their progress completely. They overlook the effort it took to survive hard seasons, learn painful lessons, or improve unhealthy habits. The mind becomes weak when it constantly searches for proof of inadequacy. A healthier mind learns to recognize evidence of growth. That does not mean pretending to be perfect. It means giving proper attention to progress instead of only focusing on flaws. Small victories matter because they change your relationship with yourself. Waking up when you said you would matters. Finishing a difficult task matters. Keeping your room clean matters. Following through on a commitment matters. Speaking honestly during an uncomfortable moment matters. These actions may appear ordinary from the outside, but internally they create something powerful. They teach your mind that you are capable of discipline, effort, and responsibility. Many people wait for confidence before they begin changing their lives. But confidence rarely appears first. Action comes first. Repetition comes first. Effort comes first. Confidence is often the result of doing hard things consistently, not the cause of it. A person becomes more confident by practicing courage repeatedly, even while feeling uncertain. One reason small victories are so important is because the mind remembers patterns. If you repeatedly quit, delay, or avoid responsibility, your mind slowly begins expecting weakness from you. You stop trusting your own words. Promises feel temporary. Goals feel unrealistic. But when you repeatedly complete small, meaningful actions, your inner expectations begin changing. You start believing yourself again. That belief creates emotional stability. There is great value in starting with manageable commitments. Some people destroy their confidence by creating impossible standards. They try to change their entire life in 1 week. They create unrealistic schedules, extreme routines, and overwhelming goals. Then when they fail to maintain them, they feel discouraged and ashamed. A wiser approach is to build slowly and steadily. Choose habits you can maintain honestly. Build consistency before intensity. Confidence grows stronger when effort becomes reliable. Reliability matters more than occasional bursts of motivation. A person who practices a skill for 30 minutes daily often develops greater trust in themselves than someone who works intensely once and then disappears for weeks. Stability creates confidence because it removes emotional chaos from the process of growth. You must also stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Comparison destroys confidence because it shifts attention away from personal improvement. Every person develops at a different pace. Every person carries different experiences, fears, and responsibilities. Your journey cannot be measured accurately against another person's timeline. Focus on becoming stronger than your past self, instead of competing endlessly with people around you. Another important truth is that confidence is deeply connected to preparation. Many people feel anxious because they consistently avoid preparation. They wait until the last moment. They ignore responsibilities until pressure becomes overwhelming. Then they wonder why they feel insecure. Preparation creates calmness because it reduces unnecessary uncertainty. Study carefully. Practice regularly. Organize your responsibilities. Arrive prepared. Quiet preparation strengthens inner confidence more than public attention ever will. Your body language also influences your self-perception. The way you stand, walk, and speak affects your emotional state. Slumped posture, weak eye contact, and hesitant speech can reinforce feelings of insecurity. Begin carrying yourself with greater intention. Stand upright, speak clearly. Slow down rushed speech. Make eye contact respectfully. These changes may feel uncomfortable at first, but physical behavior shapes mental identity over time. Confidence also grows when you stop running from difficulty. Every avoided challenge teaches the mind that discomfort should be feared. Every faced challenge teaches the mind that growth is possible. This is why small acts of courage matter deeply. Speaking up honestly during a meeting matters. Trying a new skill matters. Asking a question matters. Having a difficult conversation matters. These moments train your nervous system to tolerate discomfort instead of avoiding it automatically. Failure must also be understood differently. Many people lose confidence because they treat mistakes like permanent evidence of weakness. But mistakes are part of development. No skilled person reached mastery without errors. No disciplined person became strong without setbacks. Failure becomes destructive only when you stop learning from it. A mature person studies mistakes without turning them into personal identity. There is strength in becoming emotionally neutral about temporary embarrassment. Some people stay trapped because they fear looking inexperienced or imperfect. They avoid learning opportunities because they want to protect their image. But confidence cannot grow inside constant self-protection. Growth requires humility. It requires accepting that improvement often includes awkward beginnings. Every expert once struggled with basics. Every strong person once felt uncertain. Personal victories become even more meaningful when they are private. Doing the right thing without needing recognition builds deep character. Waking up early without announcing it builds character. Practicing discipline quietly builds character. Keeping promises when nobody is watching builds character. These private victories strengthen identity because they are not dependent on outside approval. You also need patience with your development. Modern culture often pressures people to achieve rapid transformation. People expect immediate results, instant mastery, and constant progress. Real growth rarely works that way. Some improvements happen slowly. Some habits require months of correction. Some emotional wounds need time to heal properly. Confidence grows stronger when you stop demanding immediate perfection from yourself. One helpful practice is keeping evidence of progress. Write down completed goals, lessons learned, and moments where you handled situations better than before. During difficult periods, the mind tends to forget progress quickly. Written evidence reminds you that growth is real even when emotions feel unstable. Reflection strengthens perspective. The people around you also influence confidence more than many realize. Constant criticism, mockery, or negativity slowly damages self-belief. Spend more time around individuals who encourage responsibility, honesty, and improvement. Healthy relationships challenge you without destroying your spirit. They support growth instead of feeding insecurity. Confidence also becomes stronger when your life aligns with your values. If your actions constantly contradict your beliefs, inner conflict develops. A person who lies regularly loses trust in themselves. A person who avoids responsibility loses respect for themselves. But when your behavior reflects honesty, discipline, and integrity, inner stability grows naturally. Living with alignment creates quiet confidence because there is less internal conflict. Many people search for confidence in appearance, money, status, or outside validation. Those things may create temporary feelings, but they are unstable foundations. Real confidence survives difficulty because it is connected to character instead of appearance. A person who trusts their values and work ethic remains steadier during hardship than someone who depends entirely on outside approval. Another powerful lesson is learning how to recover after difficult days. Confidence is not destroyed by one mistake or one bad moment. It weakens when people give up completely after setbacks. Learn to return quickly. If you break a healthy habit, begin again the next day. If you fail publicly, learn and continue. Resilience strengthens confidence because it proves that failure does not control your future. There is also wisdom in celebrating effort honestly. Many people move through life without acknowledging their own growth. They complete difficult things and immediately focus on the next problem. Appreciation matters. Respect the work you are doing. Respect the discipline it takes to improve slowly. Respect the courage required to keep moving despite fear or uncertainty. As confidence grows, your behavior begins changing naturally. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop panicking over every opinion. You become more willing to try difficult things because your identity no longer depends entirely on perfect outcomes. You begin trusting your ability to adapt. That trust creates emotional freedom. Strong confidence is calm, not arrogant. Arrogance tries to prove superiority constantly. True confidence does not need constant attention. It remains steady because it is rooted in personal discipline and self-respect. A confident person can admit mistakes without collapsing emotionally. They can learn from others without feeling threatened. They can remain humble while still recognizing their own progress. The path towards stronger confidence is available every day through small, consistent victories. Each completed responsibility matters. Each disciplined choice matters. Each moment where you continue despite discomfort matters. These moments slowly reshape identity from the inside out. Your life does not change only through massive breakthroughs. It changes through repeated actions that strengthen your relationship with yourself. Confidence grows every time you prove that your goals matter more than temporary excuses. It grows every time you face discomfort with maturity. It grows every time you keep going without needing perfect conditions. Over time, these personal victories create something deeply valuable. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. You stop assuming that challenges will destroy you. You begin understanding that strength can be developed deliberately. That realization changes the way you walk through life. A stronger version of you is not built through fantasy. It is built through daily evidence, quiet effort, honest discipline, repeated follow-through. These are the moments that shape lasting confidence. Not because they impress the world immediately, but because they teach you that you are capable of more than fear once convinced you. Chapter 6. Push past fear and take action despite uncertainty daily. Fear has stopped more dreams than failure ever has. Many people never discover what they are capable of because they spend their lives waiting for certainty before moving forward. They wait for guarantees, perfect timing, full confidence, and complete clarity. But life rarely offers those things in advance. Most meaningful opportunities arrive carrying some level of uncertainty. The future is often unclear. Outcomes are never fully promised. Risk exists in every direction. The person who learns how to move forward despite uncertainty gains a powerful advantage over the person who waits endlessly for fear to disappear. Fear is not always loud. Sometimes it hides behind hesitation, overthinking, delay, or endless preparation. It convinces people that they need more time before taking action. It tells them to stay where things feel familiar. It creates mental pictures of embarrassment, rejection, failure, and disappointment before anything has even happened. The mind tries to protect itself from pain by avoiding risk, but this protection often creates a different kind of suffering. It creates regret, it creates stagnation, it creates the painful feeling of watching life pass while remaining trapped in the same place. A strong life cannot be built through avoidance. Growth demands movement into unfamiliar territory. Every skill begins with uncertainty. Every relationship begins with uncertainty. Every opportunity carries uncertainty. Even daily life itself contains uncertainty. No person can control every outcome. Trying to eliminate all risk before acting is impossible. Wisdom comes from learning how to act responsibly, even when complete certainty does not exist. The first step in overcoming fear is recognizing that fear itself is not proof that something is wrong. Fear is simply a human response to the unknown. Your body reacts to uncertainty by creating tension and caution. That response is natural. Problems begin when fear becomes the decision maker, instead of a signal to examine carefully. Many people obey fear automatically without questioning whether the fear is actually protecting them or limiting them. One important lesson is that courage rarely feels comfortable in the beginning. Many people imagine courageous people as calm and fearless. In reality, courage often feels uncomfortable. Your heart may beat faster. Your thoughts may race. Your hands may shake slightly. You may doubt yourself before taking action. Courage is not the absence of nervousness. Courage is choosing to continue despite it. Action weakens fear more effectively than endless thinking. The longer you sit with fear without acting, the larger it often becomes inside the mind. Imagination begins creating exaggerated outcomes. The task starts feeling impossible. But once you begin moving, reality usually becomes more manageable than the fearful story your mind created beforehand. Taking the first step breaks mental paralysis. Think about how many opportunities people lose because they fear temporary discomfort. Someone stays silent instead of speaking honestly. Someone refuses to apply for a better opportunity because rejection feels painful. Someone delays learning a new skill because they fear looking inexperienced. Someone remains trapped in unhealthy situations because change feels uncertain. Fear convinces people that avoiding discomfort keeps them safe, but often it only keeps them stuck. One of the strongest habits you can develop is learning how to act before emotional certainty arrives. Waiting to feel fully confident can delay progress for years. Some actions must be taken while doubt still exists. Some decisions must be made while answers remain incomplete. A disciplined person learns to trust preparation, values, and effort more than temporary emotional comfort. Preparation helps reduce unnecessary fear. Many anxieties grow stronger when people avoid responsibility. If you neglect preparation, uncertainty be heavier. Study the material carefully. Practice the skill repeatedly. Organize your responsibilities honestly. Ask questions when you need guidance. Preparation cannot remove all uncertainty, but it strengthens your ability to face it calmly. At the same time, no amount of preparation will remove every unknown factor. There will always be variables outside your control. This is why emotional resilience matters. A resilient person accepts that mistakes, setbacks, and surprises are part of life. They stop demanding guarantees from the future. Instead, they focus on strengthening their ability to respond wisely to whatever comes. Fear often grows stronger when you focus too heavily on outcomes. Your mind becomes trapped, wondering whether things will work perfectly. But this creates pressure that weakens action. Shift your attention toward effort instead. Ask yourself whether you are acting with honesty, preparation, and discipline. Focus on doing your part well. Results matter, but they are not always fully controllable. Your responsibility is effort and character. Another important truth is that uncertainty exists even in staying where you are. Many people believe avoiding change protects them from risk, but staying stagnant carries its own consequences. Refusing to grow creates long-term dissatisfaction. Avoiding opportunities limits future possibilities. Ignoring difficult decisions often creates bigger problems later. There is uncertainty in action, but there is also uncertainty in avoidance. At least action creates the possibility of progress. The stories you tell yourself during fearful moments matter deeply. Some people automatically speak to themselves with defeat before even trying. They say things like, "I will probably fail," "I am not capable," or "things never work out for me." These thoughts weaken emotional energy before action even begins. Train yourself to speak differently. Speak with honesty and steadiness. Say, "This is difficult, but I can handle the next step." Say, "I may not control the outcome, but I can control my effort." These thoughts create strength instead of paralysis. Small daily acts of courage build larger courage over time. Courage functions like a muscle. The more you practice facing discomfort, the more emotionally capable you become. Speak honestly during conversations that matter. Try things you normally avoid. Accept temporary awkwardness while learning. Volunteer for responsibility occasionally. Each act teaches your nervous system that discomfort can be survived and collapse. There is also wisdom in accepting that fear often appears before important moments. Major decisions naturally create emotional tension because they matter. Fear sometimes accompanies growth because growth changes identity. The mind resists uncertainty, partly because it prefers familiarity, even when familiarity is unhealthy. Understanding this helps you stop treating fear as an enemy. Fear becomes something you acknowledge without surrendering to completely. Another major source of fear is the fear of judgment. Many people hold themselves back because they worry about criticism or embarrassment. They fear being misunderstood, rejected, or seen struggling publicly. But trying to avoid all judgment creates emotional imprisonment. No matter what you do, some people will misunderstand you. Some people will criticize your choices. Some people will doubt your direction. You cannot build a meaningful life while trying to satisfy every opinion around you. Strong people learn how to separate their identity from outside approval. They listen to useful feedback without becoming controlled by public opinion. They understand that growth sometimes requires disappointing expectations or stepping outside familiar roles. This emotional independence creates freedom. You also need patience during uncertain seasons. Some goals take longer than expected. Some answers arrive slowly. Some opportunities require sustained effort before visible progress appears. Fear often demands immediate certainty, but real growth usually unfolds gradually. Continue showing up even when results remain unclear. Progress often becomes visible only after long periods of consistent effort. Another important lesson is learning how to recover after setbacks without becoming emotionally defeated. Fear becomes stronger when people treat failure as final. A resilient person studies mistakes carefully but refuses to turn them into permanent identity. If something goes wrong, learn what can be improved. Adjust your approach. Continue forward. Resilience weakens fear because it teaches the mind that setbacks are survivable. Physical habits also affect your ability to handle uncertainty. Exhaustion increases emotional sensitivity. Poor sleep intensifies anxiety. Constant overstimulation weakens focus. Take care of your body consistently. A healthier body supports a steadier mind during stressful situations. One helpful practice during uncertain moments is narrowing your focus to the next immediate action instead of obsessing over the entire future. Fear often grows when the mind tries to predict every possible outcome at once. Bring your attention back to what can be done now. Make the phone call, finish the assignment, attend the meeting, begin the conversation. The next step matters more than endless prediction. There is strength in becoming comfortable with temporary discomfort. Modern life encourages constant comfort and instant relief, but growth often requires enduring periods of uncertainty without immediate reward. Learning patience during these moments builds emotional endurance. Not every difficult feeling requires escape. Some feelings must simply be carried with maturity while you continue moving forward. The people who accomplish meaningful things are rarely fearless individuals. More often, they are people who became skilled at acting despite fear. They learned how to continue while uncertain. They stopped treating discomfort as danger. They accepted that growth includes vulnerability, risk, and emotional exposure. Over time, something powerful begins happening when you repeatedly act through fear. Your identity starts changing. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. You stop assuming uncertainty will destroy you. You begin trusting your ability to adapt, recover, and learn. This internal trust becomes one of the greatest sources of strength in life. The future will always contain unknowns. No human being escapes uncertainty completely. But uncertainty does not need to control your decisions. Fear does not need to define your future. You can train yourself to move forward thoughtfully, even while answers remain incomplete. You can become someone who takes responsible action instead of remaining trapped in hesitation. Every day gives you opportunities to practice this. Every difficult conversation, every new responsibility, every uncomfortable choice becomes training. Some moments will still feel difficult. Some risks will still feel heavy. But strength grows each time you refuse to let fear decide the direction of your life. A meaningful life is not built through perfect certainty. It is built through repeated acts of courage, honest effort, and steady movement forward despite the unknown. The moment you stop waiting for fear to disappear completely is often the moment your real growth begins. Chapter 7. Protect your energy from distractions that weaken your growth. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Every thought, conversation, habit, environment, and decision either strengthens it or slowly drains it. Many people focus only on managing time while ignoring something even more important. A person with low energy struggles to think clearly, stay disciplined, remain patient, and continue growing consistently. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary if you want to build a meaningful life with focus, purpose, and emotional stability. Distractions are dangerous because they rarely appear harmful at first. Most distractions feel harmless in the moment. A few extra minutes scrolling through meaningless content, one unnecessary argument, constant checking of notifications, endless comparison with other people, repeating the same negative conversations every day. These habits seem small individually, but together they slowly weaken attention, emotional balance, and inner peace. Over time, they steal clarity from the mind. A distracted mind struggles to grow because growth requires focus. Meaningful progress demands concentration, repetition, patience, and intentional effort. But modern life constantly pulls attention in different directions. Devices compete for your focus. Opinions compete for your emotions. Entertainment competes for your discipline. Noise surrounds people almost constantly. Many individuals no longer know how to sit quietly with their own thoughts for even a few minutes without reaching for distraction. The mind becomes weaker when it loses the ability to focus deeply. Attention begins scattering everywhere. Tasks remain unfinished. Thoughts become disorganized. Emotional reactions increase. Even simple responsibilities start feeling exhausting because the brain is constantly overstimulated. Protecting your energy begins with protecting your attention. Where attention goes, energy follows. One of the first things you must learn is that not everything deserves your emotional reaction. Many people waste enormous amounts of energy responding to situations that add no real value to their lives. They argue with strangers online. They obsess over opinions from people who do not truly know them. They replay minor conflicts for hours inside their minds. They involve themselves in unnecessary drama that has nothing to do with their growth. This emotional leakage weakens discipline. A wise person becomes selective with their attention. They stop treating every disturbance as important. They stop giving equal emotional weight to every inconvenience. They learn how to pause and ask a simple question. Does this deserve my energy? That question alone can protect your peace in powerful ways. Your environment matters deeply. Constant exposure to negativity slowly affects your thinking, even if you do not notice it immediately. People who constantly complain, gossip, criticize, or create chaos drain emotional strength from those around them. Spending too much time in unhealthy environments makes growth harder because the mind absorbs repeated emotional patterns. Protect your surroundings carefully. Spend more time around people who encourage discipline, honesty, calmness, and personal responsibility. This does not mean avoiding all difficult people forever. Some responsibilities require patience with challenging personalities. But you must learn how to create emotional boundaries. Not every person deserves unlimited access to your mental space. Some conversations need shorter limits. Some relationships require distance. Some environments require less exposure. Protecting your peace sometimes means reducing unnecessary emotional involvement. Technology has also become one of the greatest modern distractions. Many people wake up and immediately flood their minds with noise before their own thoughts even fully settle. Messages, videos, opinions, entertainment, and endless information consume attention from morning until night. The mind rarely rests. Constant stimulation weakens reflection, and deep focus. Start becoming more intentional with your technology use. Do not allow your phone to control your attention every minute of the day. Set periods where you work without checking notifications repeatedly. Create moments of silence without constant entertainment. Eat meals without endless scrolling. Walk without needing digital stimulation constantly. Your mind needs space to recover and think clearly. Protecting your energy also means learning how to say no without guilt. Many people become emotionally exhausted because they constantly agree to things that drain them. They overcommit themselves trying to please everyone. They accept responsibilities they cannot handle properly. They sacrifice their own stability trying to avoid disappointing others. Over time, resentment and exhaustion begin growing quietly inside them. Saying no respectfully is an important form of self-respect. You cannot build a focused life while constantly abandoning your priorities for every outside demand. A disciplined person understands their limits. They protect time for rest, growth, and meaningful work. They understand that every yes carries a cost. If you say yes to everything, your energy becomes scattered across too many directions. Mental clutter also drains energy. Unfinished tasks, ignored responsibilities, disorganized spaces, and constant procrastination create emotional pressure in the background of daily life. Many people feel overwhelmed, not because life is impossible, but because their minds are carrying too much unresolved tension. Simplifying your environment helps create mental clarity. Clean your space regularly. Organize important responsibilities. Finish small tasks instead of letting them pile up endlessly. A cleaner environment supports a calmer mind. Order outside often creates more stability inside. Another important lesson is learning to protect your mornings. The first part of the day strongly influences mental direction. If your morning begins with chaos, distraction, and rushed behavior, your focus weakens quickly. Start the day more intentionally. Wake up with enough time to think clearly. Avoid immediately consuming random information. Spend a few quiet minutes organizing your thoughts. Prepare your mind before facing outside noise. Your energy also weakens when your life lacks purpose. People become vulnerable to distraction when they do not have meaningful direction. A mind without purpose searches constantly for stimulation because it lacks focus. Clear goals create stronger resistance against distraction because you understand what deserves your attention. When purpose becomes stronger, meaningless noise loses some of its power. Protecting your emotional energy also requires letting go of constant comparison. Comparison creates unnecessary dissatisfaction and insecurity. Many people spend hours observing other people's achievements, lifestyles, and appearances while neglecting their own growth completely. This habit drains motivation because attention becomes fixed on what others are doing instead of what you should be building yourself. Return your focus to your own path. You do not need to compete with every person around you. Your responsibility is to improve your own character, habits, and direction. Quiet progress matters more than public comparison. There is also danger in consuming too much information without action. Some people spend years reading, watching, planning, and discussing improvement without applying anything consistently. Knowledge edge becomes another form of distraction when it replaces disciplined action. Learning has value, but growth requires implementation. Focus on practicing what you already know, instead of endlessly collecting more information without change. Rest is another important part of protecting energy. Exhaustion weakens judgment, patience, focus, and emotional control. Some people wear burnout like a badge of honor, but constant exhaustion damages long-term growth. Recovery is not laziness when done wisely. Sleep properly. Take breaks when needed. Spend time in environments that calm your nervous system. A rested mind thinks more clearly and handles challenges with greater stability. Protect your inner peace from constant negativity in your own thinking as well. Some people create emotional exhaustion through endless worry, resentment, or self-criticism. Their external environment may be calm, but their internal world remains chaotic. Learn how to interrupt unnecessary mental noise. Not every thought deserves your full attention. Some thoughts should simply pass without being fed further. Silence can become one of the greatest sources of strength. Quiet moments allow reflection, emotional recovery, and deeper self-awareness. Spend time alone without constant distraction occasionally. Sit with your thoughts honestly, listen to your breathing, reflect on your direction. Clarity often appears when noise finally becomes quiet enough for truth to be heard. Your physical habits also affect your energy more than many realize. Poor nutrition, lack of movement, dehydration, and inconsistent sleep gradually weaken emotional resilience. Taking care of your body supports mental strength. You think differently when your body is functioning properly. Energy management is not only emotional or spiritual, it is physical too. One important skill is learning how to leave situations emotionally instead of carrying them all day. Some people replay stressful conversations repeatedly for hours. They mentally relive frustrations long after situations have ended. This habit steals peace from the present moment. Learn how to process experiences without becoming trapped inside them. Reflect briefly, learn what is necessary, then release unnecessary mental attachment. As you become more protective of your energy, you may notice changes in your relationships and habits. Some distractions will lose their appeal. Some environments will begin feeling too draining. Some conversations will no longer feel worth your emotional investment. This is part of growth. Your standards begin changing because your awareness deepens. Discipline becomes easier when energy is protected properly. Focus becomes sharper. Emotional reactions become calmer. Important work receives more attention. Your life starts feeling less scattered because your mind is no longer constantly pulled in different directions. There is strength in becoming less available to unnecessary chaos. You do not need to respond instantly to everything. You do not need to join every argument. You do not need to explain yourself endlessly to people committed to misunderstanding you. Protecting your peace allows you to invest more energy into things that truly matter. A meaningful life requires intentional attention. Your future is shaped by what consistently receives your energy. If distractions consume most of your focus, your growth weakens. If purpose, discipline, learning, and self-respect receive your focus, your life gradually strengthens from the inside out. Every day presents choices about where your energy will go. Some choices strengthen you. Some choices slowly drain you without immediate notice. Become more conscious of these decisions. Protect your mind carefully. Protect your time carefully. Protect your emotional stability carefully. The quality of your focus influences the quality of your life more than many people ever realize. Growth requires energy. Peace requires energy. Discipline requires energy. Your future deserves more than a distracted version of you. constantly exhausted by unnecessary noise. Learn to protect what matters inside you. Once your attention becomes more intentional, your life begins moving with greater clarity, strength, and direction. Chapter 8. Build powerful routines that improve your mindset every morning. The way you begin your morning shapes more of your life than you may realize. Many people wake up already mentally exhausted because the first moments of their day are rushed, distracted, and emotionally scattered. Before their mind has fully settled, they are already checking notifications, absorbing other people's opinions, reacting to outside demands, and filling their attention with noise. Then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed before the day has even properly started. A weak morning routine creates a weak mental foundation. A strong morning routine creates stability, clarity, and emotional direction. Your mornings matter because the mind is highly impressionable during the first part of the day. The thoughts, habits, and emotions you feed it early often continue influencing your decisions for hours afterward. If the day begins with stress, comparison, confusion, or chaos, your focus weakens. But when the day begins with intention, your mindset becomes stronger and more disciplined. A powerful morning routine is not about perfection or complicated systems. It is about creating habits that help you begin the day with control instead of reaction. The first important step is waking up with enough time to think clearly. Many people place themselves in a constant state of stress because they wake up at the last possible moment. Their body immediately enters panic mode. Everything becomes rushed. Their mind never receives a calm transition into the day. This creates mental tension before any real challenge has even appeared. Waking up earlier is not about punishment. It is about creating space for yourself before the world begins demanding your attention. When you first wake up, resist the urge to immediately grab your phone. This single habit damages focus more than many people realize. The moment you begin consuming endless information, your attention becomes scattered. Your mind starts reacting before it has even established its own direction. Give yourself a few quiet moments first. Allow your thoughts to settle naturally. Breathe slowly. Sit up calmly. Instead of rushing into stimulation immediately, one of the most powerful morning habits is practicing stillness. Most people spend their entire lives surrounded by constant noise. Their minds never fully rest. Silence may feel uncomfortable at first because many people are no longer used to being alone with their own thoughts. But quiet moments create mental clarity. Sit in silence for a few minutes each morning. Listen to your breathing. Observe your thoughts without immediately reacting to them. This practice strengthens awareness and emotional steadiness. Your physical state also strongly affects your mindset. Drink water early in the morning. Your body loses hydration during sleep, and even mild dehydration affects energy, concentration, and mood. Such a small action may seem insignificant, but consistent physical care creates stronger mental stability over time. Movement is another essential part of a healthy morning routine. You do not need extreme exercise every morning, but your body benefits from movement after long periods of rest. Stretch your muscles. Walk outside if possible. Allow fresh air and natural light to reach you early. Physical movement wakes up the nervous system and improves mental alertness. A stagnant body often creates stagnant energy. Your morning should also include some form of intentional thinking. Many people move through life without consciously directing their minds. They simply react emotionally to whatever happens during the day. A stronger approach is to decide who you want to be before challenges appear. Ask yourself simple questions. What deserves my energy today? What kind of attitude do I want to carry? What responsibilities matter most today? These reflections create mental direction. Writing can also become a powerful morning tool. Spend a few minutes writing your thoughts, priorities, or goals for the day. Writing slows mental chaos because it forces thoughts into clearer structure. Instead of carrying dozens of scattered ideas emotionally, you place them into order. This creates calmness and sharper focus, Another important habit is practicing gratitude honestly. Gratitude is not pretending life is perfect. Difficulties still exist, responsibilities still exist, pain still exists. But gratitude trains the mind to notice value instead of only focusing on lack. Each morning, remind yourself of a few things that still deserve appreciation: your health, a second chance, a lesson learned, a person who supports you, the opportunity to improve again today. Gratitude strengthens emotional balance because it reduces unnecessary bitterness and comparison. Protect your mornings from unnecessary negativity. Do not begin the day absorbing arguments, outrage, or endless bad news unless absolutely necessary. Many people unknowingly fill their minds with stress before their own goals and values even enter their attention. Information has emotional impact. Be intentional about what you allow into your mind early in the day. Food also influences mindset more than many realize. Starting the morning with unhealthy habits often creates sluggishness, irritability, and poor concentration later. Care for your body with discipline. You do not need perfection, but your daily choices affect emotional resilience over time. One reason morning routines matter so much is because they create momentum. A productive morning often leads to a more focused afternoon. A distracted morning often leads to continued distraction throughout the day. Early actions influence later behavior. When you begin the day by keeping small promises to yourself, confidence quietly increases. You start trusting your ability to lead your own life, instead of constantly reacting to circumstances. Your routine should also remain realistic. Some people create impossible morning systems filled with dozens of habits they cannot maintain consistently. Eventually, exhaustion or frustration causes them to quit entirely. Simplicity creates sustainability. Focus on a few meaningful habits that genuinely improve your mindset instead of overwhelming yourself with unrealistic expectations. Another powerful morning practice is reviewing your priorities before the day becomes busy. Many people allow urgent distractions to control their attention because they never clarified what actually matters most. Decide what deserves your focus before outside demands begin competing for your energy. Clarity protects discipline. A strong morning routine also strengthens emotional resilience. Difficult situations become easier to handle when your mind already feels grounded. People who begin their day with calmness, reflection, and intentional habits often respond to stress more wisely later. They are less reactive because their inner state feels more stable. This meat quality also deserves attention. A powerful morning begins the night before. Many people damage their mornings through unhealthy nighttime habits. Staying awake excessively late, consuming endless stimulation before sleep, or carrying unresolved stress into bed weakens recovery. Protect your rest carefully. Sleep is not wasted time. It is necessary restoration for mental clarity and emotional balance. Discipline in the morning creates strength in other areas of life too. When you consistently wake up intentionally, your identity slowly changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone controlled entirely by mood or comfort. You begin recognizing your ability to direct your behavior with greater maturity. This internal shift becomes powerful over time. Another valuable habit is avoiding immediate rush. Constant rushing damages presence and emotional calmness. Move with greater awareness during your morning instead of beginning the day in panic. Slow does not mean lazy. It means intentional. There is strength in starting the day with steadiness instead of chaos. Protecting your mental space early also helps reduce unnecessary emotional reactions later. A mind flooded with noise from the beginning becomes more emotionally vulnerable throughout the day. But a mind strengthened through reflection, stillness, and preparation handles challenges differently. Some mornings will still feel difficult. You may wake up tired, discouraged, or emotionally heavy sometimes. That is part of being human. A good routine does not remove all hard emotions. It simply provides structure during moments when motivation feels weak. On difficult mornings, focus on completing the basic habits anyway. Drink water, move your body, Breathe deeply, write your thoughts. Keep moving steadily. Consistency matters more than emotional perfection. As your morning habits improve, your entire relationship with time begins changing. You stop feeling constantly behind. You stop beginning every day in emotional reaction mode. Your mind becomes clearer because it receives direction early instead of absorbing random stimulation immediately. The goal is not to create a perfect morning that impresses other people. The goal is to build routines that support your mental strength, emotional stability, and long-term growth. Quiet, disciplined mornings often create powerful lives because they strengthen the mind repeatedly over time. A strong mindset is not built accidentally. It is built through repeated choices that shape your thinking daily. Each morning gives you another opportunity to strengthen focus, patience, gratitude, discipline, and clarity. Small habits practiced consistently become part of your character. Your mornings are more than the beginning of another day. They are training for your mind. They are opportunities to reclaim control over your attention, emotions, and direction before outside distractions attempt to take over. Protect those early moments carefully. Use them wisely. Over time, the quality of your mornings begins shaping the quality of your life itself. Chapter 9. Accept responsibility and create the future you truly want. Responsibility changes a person's life the moment they stop running from it. Many people spend years blaming circumstances, waiting for rescue, or hoping life will change without changing themselves first. They blame their past, their environment, other people's behavior, bad timing, or unfair situations. Some of those struggles are real. Life is not equal for everyone. Some people begin with heavier burdens, deeper pain, or fewer opportunities. But even with that truth, there comes a moment when a person must decide whether they will remain trapped inside excuses or begin taking responsibility for the direction of their life. Responsibility is not about carrying shame for everything that has happened to you. It is about accepting ownership over what happens next. That shift creates power. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix your life, your thinking changes. Your decisions become more intentional. Your habits become more important. Your time begins carrying greater value. Responsibility pulls you out of helplessness and places you back into action. Many people avoid responsibility because it feels heavy at first. It forces honesty. It removes comfortable excuses. It asks difficult questions. Are your habits helping your future or damaging it? Are your daily choices aligned with the life you claim to want? Are you using your time wisely? Are you speaking truthfully? Are you avoiding difficult work? These questions can feel uncomfortable, but discomfort often leads to growth when faced honestly. A responsible person understands that small daily actions shape long-term outcomes. Your future is not created by one dramatic decision alone. It is shaped gradually through repeated patterns. The way you spend your mornings matters. The way you handle stress matters. The way you speak to yourself matters. The way you manage money, health, relationships, and discipline matters. Every repeated choice quietly builds your future piece by piece. One dangerous habit is waiting for motivation before becoming responsible. Motivation changes constantly. Some days you feel strong and inspired. Other days you feel tired or uncertain. A meaningful life cannot depend entirely on temporary emotional states. Responsibility means doing what matters even when the mood is weak. It means keeping commitments even when comfort pulls you elsewhere. This consistency builds trust in yourself over time. There is also wisdom in accepting responsibility for your emotional reactions. You cannot control every situation around you. People may disappoint you. Life may become unfair. Problems may appear unexpectedly. But your response still belongs to you. Many people lose years trapped in bitterness because they allow pain to become identity. Responsibility asks you to process pain without allowing it to define your entire future. Taking responsibility also means becoming honest about your habits. Some habits move you forward. Some habits quietly destroy progress. Endless distraction weakens focus. Constant procrastination weakens confidence. Avoiding difficult conversations damages relationships. Ignoring health weakens energy. Blaming others weakens personal growth. Responsible people study their habits honestly because they understand that repeated behavior eventually shapes character. One of the most powerful shifts in life happens when you stop asking only what the world owes you and start asking what you owe your own potential. You owe yourself effort. You owe yourself discipline. You owe yourself honesty. You owe yourself growth. No one else can build your character for you. No one else can make your decisions daily. Your future depends largely on what you repeatedly choose when nobody is forcing you. Responsibility also requires patience. Many people want immediate transformation. They want fast success, quick healing, and instant results. But meaningful growth often happens slowly. Some lessons require repetition. Some goals demand years of effort. Responsible people remain committed even when progress feels gradual. They understand that consistency matters more than emotional excitement. There is strength in becoming dependable. A dependable person follows through. They do not constantly abandon commitments when life becomes inconvenient. They respect their responsibilities even during difficult seasons. This reliability creates self-respect because it strengthens trust between your words and your actions. Another important part of responsibility is learning from mistakes without becoming trapped by shame. Every person makes poor decisions at times. Every person has moments they regret. Immature people deny mistakes or blame others entirely. Mature people accept errors honestly, correct what they can, and continue improving. Responsibility is not perfection. It is accountability combined with growth. Your future is also influenced heavily by the people around you. Responsibility means choosing your influences carefully. Some relationships encourage discipline, wisdom, and growth. Others encourage laziness, negativity, or emotional chaos. The people closest to you affect your thinking more than you realize. Protect your direction carefully by surrounding yourself with individuals who respect growth and responsibility. Financial responsibility also deserves attention. Many people create long-term stress through careless decisions, impulsive habits, or lack of planning. Responsibility means preparing for the future instead of only chasing immediate comfort. It means learning patience, restraint, and thoughtful decision-making. Even small financial discipline practiced consistently creates greater freedom over time. Your health requires responsibility too. Many people ignore their bodies until problems become serious. Energy, focus, emotional stability, and resilience all depend partly on physical care. Sleep matters, movement matters, nutrition matters, rest matters. A responsible person understands that caring for the body supports the mind and future goals as well. Responsibility becomes easier when connected to purpose. A person without purpose struggles to maintain discipline because nothing feels deeply meaningful. But when you know why your growth matters, effort becomes easier to sustain. Maybe you want to create a better future for yourself. Maybe you want stronger relationships. Maybe you want peace of mind. Maybe you want freedom from old patterns. Purpose gives responsibility emotional strength. Another important lesson is accepting responsibility for your time. Time is one of the few resources that cannot be recovered once lost. Many people waste years in endless distraction, avoidance, or meaningless routines while assuming they will eventually change later. But later arrives faster than expected. Responsible people respect time because they understand how quickly life moves. They stop delaying important changes endlessly. Taking responsibility also means becoming less dependent on external validation. Some people make decisions entirely based on approval from others. They avoid growth because they fear criticism. They remain stuck because they want everyone to agree with their choices. But meaningful change often requires disappointing expectations or stepping into unfamiliar territory. Responsible people listen to advice wisely, but still take ownership of their own path. There is deep freedom in accepting responsibility fully. Blame creates emotional weakness because it places control outside yourself constantly. Responsibility creates strength because it reminds you that your actions still matter. Even if life has been difficult, your decisions today still influence tomorrow. This mindset restores personal power. You must also accept responsibility for your inner world. Your thoughts, attitude, and emotional habits influence every area of life. Constant negativity weakens progress. Constant resentment damages peace. Constant excuses destroy discipline. Begin paying attention to the patterns inside your mind. Responsibility starts internally before it becomes visible externally. One of the clearest signs of maturity is the ability to face reality honestly. Some people spend years avoiding uncomfortable truths about themselves. They ignore unhealthy patterns, weak discipline, broken habits, or emotional problems because facing them feels painful. But avoidance only prolongs suffering. Responsible people confront reality directly because truth creates the possibility for change. There will be moments when responsibility feels exhausting. Some seasons carry heavy burdens. You may feel tired of trying. You may feel discouraged when progress seems slow. During those moments, remember that responsibility is not about becoming emotionless. It is about continuing to move with integrity, despite difficulty. Some days the victory is simply continuing without quitting. Another powerful truth is that no one else can live your life for you. Advice can guide you. Support can encourage you. Love can strengthen you. But eventually your daily decisions become your responsibility alone. Accepting this truth may feel serious, but it is also empowering. It means your future is not completely fixed by your past. It means your choices still carry meaning. As responsibility grows, confidence often grows alongside it. You begin trusting yourself more because your actions become more aligned with your values. You stop feeling entirely controlled by emotions or circumstances. Your life gains structure because your choices gain intention. The future you truly want will not appear accidentally. It must be built through repeated, disciplined action. Dreams without responsibility remain fantasy. Goals without effort remain ideas. Change requires participation. It requires honesty, sacrifice, patience, and consistency. Every day gives you another opportunity to move closer toward the person you want to become. Some days the progress will feel small. Some days the work will feel difficult. But every responsible decision strengthens your future quietly. Every honest action builds character. Every disciplined choice shapes identity. You do not need to control every part of life perfectly. No human being can do that. But you can control whether you show up with integrity. You can control whether you continue learning. You can control whether you keep moving forward instead of surrendering to excuses. A meaningful future is created through responsibility, accepted daily, not occasionally. The strongest lives are not built by luck alone. They are built by people who became willing to carry the weight of their own growth with discipline and maturity. The moment you fully accept responsibility for your direction, your life begins changing from the inside out. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop depending entirely on circumstances. You begin building. And once you begin building with honesty and consistency, your future slowly becomes shaped by intention instead of accident. Chapter 10. Win against your old habits through daily self-discipline. Old habits do not disappear because you wish them away. They weaken only when you stop feeding them through repetition and start replacing them through consistent discipline. Most people try to change their life by relying on motivation or emotional intensity, but habits are not controlled by emotions. Habits are controlled by repetition. What you repeat daily becomes your identity over time. This is why winning against old habits requires more than inspiration. It requires structure, patience, and daily self-discipline that continues even when motivation fades. Old habits often feel powerful because they are familiar. Even when they are harmful, they create a sense of comfort through repetition. The mind prefers what it already knows, because it requires less effort. That is why people return to the same behaviors even after promising change. It is not lack of intelligence, it is conditioning. The brain has learned a pattern through repetition, and now it follows that pattern automatically unless you interrupt it with new behavior practiced consistently. Self-discipline begins at the moment you notice a pattern instead of reacting automatically to it. Many people live on autopilot without realizing how much of their day is controlled by unconscious habits. Waking up, scrolling, delaying tasks, reacting emotionally, avoiding responsibility, repeating distractions, and escaping discomfort become default behaviors. To change this, awareness must come first. You cannot change what you do not observe clearly. Winning against old habits starts with interruption. When an old behavior appears, there must be a conscious pause. That pause is where change begins. Instead of immediately following the habit, you create space to choose differently. At first, this feels difficult because the mind resists change. It wants the familiar path. But every time you interrupt an old pattern, you weaken its control slightly and strengthen your ability to choose. Self-discipline is not about extreme action once in a while. It is about small, consistent decisions repeated daily. Many people underestimate the power of small choices. Skipping one negative habit once does not transform life immediately, but repeating that decision daily creates a completely different direction over time. Similarly, replacing one old habit with a better alternative slowly reshapes identity. Discipline works quietly, not dramatically. To win against old habits, you must also understand triggers. Every habit has a trigger. A time of day, an emotional state, a specific environment, or a certain thought often activates automatic behavior. If you do not identify triggers, you will keep repeating the same patterns without understanding why. But when you become aware of what activates a habit, you gain the ability to interrupt it before it fully begins. Replacing habits is more effective than simply trying to stop them. The mind does not like empty space. If you only remove a habit without replacing it, the old behavior often returns. But when you replace it with something meaningful, the mind begins forming a new pattern. For example, replacing distraction with focused work, replacing emotional reaction with reflection, or replacing avoidance with small action creates new pathways in thinking. Discipline grows stronger through repetition under resistance. The real test of change is not when you feel motivated, but when you feel tired, distracted, or uncertain. Many people can act correctly when they feel good, but old habits return when emotions weaken. True discipline is shown when you continue doing what is right even when it feels inconvenient. That is how identity changes over time. You must also accept that setbacks are part of the process. Old habits do not disappear in a straight line. There will be moments when you fall back into previous behavior. The difference between growth and stagnation is how you respond afterward. Some people use one mistake as an excuse to give up completely. Others use it as feedback and return to discipline immediately. Winning against old habits requires patience with yourself while maintaining commitment. Another important principle is reducing access to temptation. Discipline becomes easier when the environment supports it. If distractions are constantly available, resistance becomes harder. If unhealthy patterns are always within reach, the mind will eventually follow them during weak moments. By changing your environment, you reduce unnecessary struggle. This might mean limiting certain inputs, reorganizing your space, or adjusting your daily structure to support better decisions. Your identity plays a major role in habit change. When you repeatedly act in a disciplined way, you begin to see yourself differently. Instead of thinking, "I am someone trying to change," you start thinking, "I am someone who follows through." Identity shifts slowly through evidence. Each disciplined action becomes proof that you are no longer controlled by old behavior. Language also influences habit change. The way you speak about yourself shapes your behavior. If you constantly label yourself as undisciplined, stuck, or inconsistent, those labels reinforce the old pattern. But when you begin describing yourself in terms of effort and improvement, your mindset starts shifting. Speak in a way that supports the direction you want to move toward, not the pattern you are trying to escape. Daily structure is another powerful tool. Without structure, old habits fill the gaps automatically. When the day has no clear direction, the mind defaults to familiar behaviors. But when you organize your time with intention, you reduce the space available for unwanted habits. Even simple structure, such as planning key tasks, setting focus periods, and creating boundaries around distractions, helps weaken old patterns. Self-discipline also requires emotional endurance. There will be discomfort when breaking old habits. The mind may feel restless. You may feel resistance, boredom, or irritation when trying to do something new. This discomfort is temporary. Many people stop during this phase because they assume discomfort means something is wrong. In reality, discomfort often signals that change is happening. Staying consistent through this phase is where transformation begins. Another important truth is that old habits often return when goals are unclear. When you lack direction, the mind drifts back to familiar patterns. Clear goals give discipline a purpose. They remind you why effort matters. Even during moments of resistance, purpose helps you continue moving forward. You also need to stop negotiating with old habits. Many people lose discipline because they constantly argue with themselves before taking action. They say they will start later, they justify small delays, or they convince themselves that one more time does not matter. These internal negotiations slowly weaken resolve. A disciplined mindset reduces unnecessary internal debate and moves toward action more directly. Progress should be measured honestly but patiently. You will not eliminate old habits overnight. What matters is direction. If you are becoming slightly more disciplined each week, you are moving correctly. If your reactions are slowly becoming more controlled, you are improving. If your awareness is increasing, you are growing. Change is often subtle before it becomes visible. Over time, consistent discipline creates a shift in identity so strong that old habits begin losing emotional power. What once felt automatic starts feeling unnatural. What once felt difficult starts feeling normal. Your brain adapts to repetition, and eventually new patterns replace old ones. The final stage of winning against old habits is stability. This is when disciplined behavior becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural state. You still need awareness, but effort becomes more steady. You are no longer constantly fighting yourself because your actions and identity are more aligned. Old habits lose their control when they are no longer reinforced. They weaken when attention is no longer given to them. Disappear when consistent new behavior replaces them over time. Nothing changes instantly, but everything changes through repetition. Daily self-discipline is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. Each day gives you a choice: repeat the old pattern or build the new one, stay in comfort or step into growth, react automatically or choose consciously. Over time, the choices you repeat become the life you live. Winning against old habits is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about returning to discipline every time you fall, every time you hesitate, and every time resistance appears. Through that repeated return, your life slowly changes shape, and eventually, the habits that once controlled you no longer define you.